Nobody saw this coming. After all the clips, the online chaos, the endless reactions, the story seemed already saturated. Fans and critics alike thought they had seen the worst. But what emerged next shifted everything in a way no one could have anticipated. Because this time, according to multiple insiders, King Harris didn't remain silent. Not in the way he usually did. Not in anger, not in defiance, but in desperation. And that's exactly what makes this moment different. Reports suggest that behind the scenes, King Harris allegedly reached out directly to 50 Cent, privately, away from the cameras, away from social media, not to create drama or control the narrative, but to try to prevent it from spiraling out of control. When people say out of control, they're not just talking about headlines or online arguments. They're talking about a point of no return, the kind of point where things can't simply be erased or explained away. And if the rumors are true, whatever is still locked away in that unreleased documentary footage is worse than anything already public. Think about that for a moment. The clips that have already circulated were enough to shake the internet. They divided the industry, sparked debates, and raised serious questions about T.I. and his family dynamics. If King Harris himself is allegedly intervening, pleading, even begging for the rollout to stop, then what's in that footage? What hasn't been shown yet? And why would it frighten him enough to make that move? Insiders claim that this wasn't just a casual text or a polite request. It was described as urgent, emotional, and almost pleading in tone. The kind of message that comes from someone who feels like their world is about to collapse, and the only way to save it is to act quickly and quietly. One insider even said that King Harris wasn't trying to argue, he was trying to prevent something. But prevent what? That's the question nobody has been able to answer. And the seriousness of the situation is underscored by the fact that while King Harris is allegedly trying to stop things, 50 Cent hasn't slowed down. If anything, insiders suggest he is accelerating, dropping more hints, applying more pressure, carefully building momentum around the documentary. Every move seems calculated, each piece of content strategically released. This isn't simple entertainment drama anymore. It has become a high-stakes story where timing, strategy, and exposure all collide, because it's no longer just about the clips that have already been released. It's about what's coming next and whether anyone can stop it. To understand why King Harris would react this way, you have to step back and look at the life he's lived. King Harris didn't choose the spotlight. He was born into it. From the very beginning, his life has been public. Reality shows, interviews, social media, every stage of his growth has been visible. And people didn't just watch him appear. They watched him grow, evolve, struggle, and attempt to find his own identity. That level of scrutiny comes with immense pressure. And when your father is someone like T.I., a figure known for control, influence, and the ability to shape narratives, people expect you to follow a certain path. They expect a certain image, a certain behavior, a certain standard. But King Harris hasn't always fit neatly into those expectations. He has spoken his mind, reacted emotionally, and had moments that went viral for all the wrong reasons. Moments when it seemed like he was pushing back, not just against the public, but against the weight of the expectations placed upon him. And each of those moments was met with the relentless gaze of the internet. Criticism, judgment, and constant discussion followed. That kind of attention doesn't just disappear, it accumulates. It builds pressure, weight, and stress over time. Now, imagine adding this current situation to that existing pressure. A documentary allegedly digging into private moments, family interactions, and conversations never meant for public consumption. Suddenly, this isn't just pressure. It becomes exposure in its most raw, intense form. Insiders are saying that what's already been released is only a fragment, a tiny portion of the full story. Edited pieces, carefully curated moments from a larger, unreleased narrative. And somewhere out there, the complete footage exists, unseen, unreleased, waiting. Put yourself in King Harris's shoes for a moment. Imagine knowing that there is content out there that could reshape how the world perceives you, your father, and your entire family, and having no control over it. Knowing that even a single clip could define or destroy reputations, create misperceptions, or fan the flames of controversy. That's more than stressful. That's terrifying. And that's why his alleged message hits differently. This isn't someone defending themselves publicly, where words can be spun, edited, or ignored. This is someone trying to intervene privately. Why? To prevent irreparable damage before it reaches a point where nothing can be undone. Then there's the role of 50 Cent, which complicates things even further. He's not someone who operates randomly. Every move he makes is intentional, strategic, and carefully timed. His actions around this documentary, when it started gaining attention, the timing of clips, the way information has trickled out, don't appear accidental. They are precise, controlled, and designed to maximize impact. Content like this isn't just dropped without thought. Each clip adds a layer, each reaction fuels the next, each online discussion pulls more people into the story. Momentum builds, and the narrative starts to take on a life of its own. And that's exactly what makes this situation feel so much larger than a typical entertainment feud. It's about control, perception, and influence. Adding another layer to the story, insiders claim that not all the footage was originally intended for public release. Some of it may come from old recordings, private archives, or moments filmed for completely different purposes. If that's true, this isn't just a story about content. It's a story about access, consent, and ethics. How the footage was obtained, how it is used, and whether it should have been publicized in the first place. That divide is why the industry is so fractured right now. On one side, people argue that exposure is essential. They say truth, no matter how uncomfortable, must be seen. Reality shouldn't be hidden simply to preserve an image or a reputation. On the other side, there are those who see it as exploitation. Private moments, family dynamics, conversations not meant for public ears. These are lines that shouldn't be crossed, no matter the story's value. And right now, there is no middle ground. Only two opposing perspectives, both loud, both unwavering. And in the middle of all of this, silence. No public response from T.I., no direct comment from 50 Cent, and no statement from King Harris. That silence is deafening. Because in situations like this, when nobody speaks, it usually means something more is happening behind the scenes. Something bigger than anyone can see or report on. Whatever that something is, it might be the part of the story that changes everything. And as the tension escalates, it becomes increasingly clear. This isn't just about viral clips or fleeting attention. It has crossed into a deeper, more uncomfortable territory. Some people continue to call it exposure, framing it as the unveiling of reality, the telling of truth. But others are openly stating that the line has been crossed. This is no longer entertainment. This is a collision of privacy, family dynamics, and public perception, and the stakes couldn't be higher. And it's not just the content itself that matters, it's the context. Who controls it, how it's released, and why? King Harris's alleged private plea, 50 Cent's calculated strategy, and the media frenzy all interact in a delicate, tense ecosystem. One misstep, one leak, one misinterpreted statement could change everything. The pressure isn't just on King Harris. It's on everyone involved, the family, the industry, the fans, even those reporting the story. Because once something like this reaches a certain point, it's impossible to fully contain. It feeds itself, building tension, speculation, and anticipation until it becomes larger than any single person. And that's why King Harris allegedly reaching out privately is so significant. It's not just an attempt to stop a rollout. It's an attempt to control the narrative before it spins out of control, before the content defines him in ways he can't manage, before the story reaches the point where it can't be corrected or contextualized. All of this comes together to create a story that feels bigger than entertainment, bigger than a single feud, bigger than a viral clip, and bigger than any one reaction. It's about strategy, influence, and human emotion under immense pressure. It's about a young man trying to navigate a life that has been public since birth while facing a situation that threatens to define him and his family for the world to see. And while some might view this as drama or spectacle, insiders suggest it's far more complex. Because in the middle of viral moments and leaked footage, there's real fear, real consequence, and a real human trying to make decisions under impossible circumstances. This is why the tension feels different now. It's why every new report, every whisper, every leak adds another layer of intensity. And it's why the story continues to unfold in a way that feels unpredictable, urgent, and impossible to ignore. Because at the heart of it all is a simple truth. Control is fragile, exposure is relentless, and some moments, once revealed, cannot be taken back. And King Harris, caught in the eye of this storm, allegedly understands that more clearly than anyone. The narrative is still building, clips continue to surface. Reactions continue to pour in, and the online world continues to dissect every detail. But somewhere beneath it all, the unseen footage remains, waiting, unreleased, potentially explosive. And it's that unknown that has made this situation unlike anything the industry or the public has seen before. And the final, lingering question remains: what exactly is in that footage? What could provoke King Harris to intervene privately? What could have 50 Cent playing his hand so strategically? The answers remain unknown, but the tension, the stakes, and the consequences are crystal clear. This isn't just a story about entertainment anymore. This is a story about life under a microscope, the limits of privacy, and the power of narrative. And for King Harris, T.I., 50 Cent, and everyone caught in the middle, the next chapter could change everything. Because what has already been seen is only the beginning. The story isn't over. The unreleased footage, the private messages, the calculated strategy, they are all part of a larger narrative that is still unfolding. And the world is watching, waiting, and wondering, how far will it go before it reaches the point of no return? Right in the middle of all this chaos was King Harris. On one side, there's 50 Cent, a man known not just for his music or his wealth, but for control, strategy, and an uncanny ability to shape narratives. He doesn't just release content, he dictates how the content is consumed, discussed, and interpreted. Every clip, every hint, every leak is carefully calculated. Nothing is random, nothing is accidental. On the other side, there is King Harris, his life, his identity, his family, all of it being shaped in real time by how the world perceives the content surrounding him. Every clip, every reaction, every viral post, whether fair or not, circles back to him, and he has no power to influence it. That's not a position anyone would ever want to be in. Now imagine the mental toll. Every viral video, every comment section, every debate, it's all about you, and it's relentless. The attention doesn't pause, it doesn't care about context, nuance, or human limits. That kind of pressure doesn't just sit on the surface. It builds, it accumulates, it seeps into every thought, and eventually it weighs on you, heavier than most could ever comprehend. So when reports surfaced that King Harris allegedly reached out privately to 50 Cent, trying to stop the unfolding chaos, it suddenly made perfect sense. It wasn't shocking, it was necessary. Because at a certain point, this stops being entertainment. This stops being about clicks or views. This stops being a story for the audience. It becomes real, and real can hurt. Right now, according to insiders, the situation is perched on a knife's edge, between content and consequence, between exposure and destruction. And the craziest part, nobody knows what's coming next. Consider this. If the clips that have already surfaced caused such upheaval, splitting the industry, shaking public perception, sparking debates across every platform, then the unreleased content might be far worse. What hasn't been seen yet? What's still hidden? And more importantly, what could push King Harris to act in desperation behind the scenes? Up until this point, it might have felt like the story was happening around him. Clips dropped, Reactions poured in, discussions flared, but this moment, this is different. He is directly involved now. He is no longer a bystander. According to multiple insiders, the moment King Harris allegedly reached out to 50 Cent was when everything shifted, from public chaos to private confrontation. This wasn't a casual message. It wasn't a quick, "Yo, chill." It was reportedly a full conversation, tense and emotional, one where the pressure could be felt in every word, even without hearing the voices. We don't know the exact messages, but sources who claim to have knowledge of the situation all echo the same idea. King Harris wasn't arguing. He wasn't negotiating. He was pleading to stop something before it escalated. That distinction matters, because when someone behaves that way, it usually means one thing: they understand the stakes and they know what's coming next. And that's where the real tension begins. According to these insiders, 50 Cent didn't respond the way most people might expect. He didn't pause the rollout. He didn't slow the momentum. He didn't say, "Okay, we'll hold back." Instead, he allegedly remained calm, cold, unfazed, and that response made the situation exponentially more volatile. Now you have two forces colliding. On one side, someone desperate to contain the situation, to prevent damage, to stop a potential disaster. On the other, someone fully committed to driving the narrative forward, pushing the story with calculated precision. And when those two energies meet, tension doesn't just build, it explodes. If King Harris is begging for this to stop, and it isn't stopping, then what happens next? That's the question everyone began asking, quietly at first, and then loudly as whispers turned into online speculation. Then came the first major twist. Shortly after the alleged private interaction, a new clip began circulating online, and this one felt different, heavier, more serious. Unlike the clips before, this one allegedly contained a previously unseen moment involving King Harris, a moment that fundamentally changed the tone of the entire situation. It wasn't just another viral piece to spark debate or fuel gossip. It sparked concern. People's reactions shifted. Comments went from casual speculation to alarm. "This doesn't feel right. Why is this even out there? This has gone too far." The change in public perception said everything. This was no longer about curiosity. This was about boundaries, privacy, ethics, respect. And as people began connecting the dots, the timing seemed too perfect. Right after King Harris allegedly tried to stop the situation, a new clip emerged. To many, it didn't feel like coincidence. It felt like a calculated response, like a message sent despite efforts to halt it. And suddenly, the conversation changed. It became personal. Exactly what those measures might entail is still unknown, but the mere fact that they are being considered highlights the seriousness of the situation. When lawyers and strategic advisors enter the picture, the stakes escalate rapidly. What started as a story unfolding online could quickly transform into a full-blown legal and reputational battle. And just when people thought they could predict the next move, another twist emerged, one that caught everyone completely off guard. A post began circulating claiming that King Harris had reached out again, not once but twice. And this second message, according to the unverified report, was even more emotional and urgent than the first. The alleged content of the message suggested that the stakes were not just personal but familial. It reportedly communicated, "This isn't just about me. This is about my entire family. You need to stop this before it goes too far." Whether or not that message is accurate is impossible to verify, but the reaction to it made it feel real enough. Suddenly, the leaks and clips weren't just online content. They had tangible consequences. Real relationships could be affected. Real reputations could be damaged. Real lives could be altered permanently. The online drama had grown into a situation with real-world impact. And as the pressure escalated, the question on everyone's mind became, where is the line, and has it already been crossed? Then came yet another layer of escalation. Just when it seemed like things might settle, rumors about a final, unreleased piece of footage began circulating. The whispers were unconfirmed, but they carried enormous weight. According to these claims, there is one last clip, held back for reasons that remain unclear, that could fundamentally alter the public's perception of everything that had come before. What makes this so compelling is that it wasn't just speculation, it carried the weight of plausibility. People have seen the pattern of releases, they've seen the reaction to each wave, and they now understand that holding back a key piece of content is entirely within the strategy of those controlling it. So the question everyone is asking now is, what is in that final clip? Why has it been withheld? And most importantly, what happens if it finally sees the light of day? Because if the content that has already surfaced has caused chaos, controversy, and real concern, then what remains could be exponentially more impactful. The online reaction to these new clips was immediate and intense. Once they were released, the response didn't just grow, it multiplied. Every platform ignited simultaneously. Twitter X was flooded with debates, reactions, and speculation. TikTok became a hub of emotional breakdowns, commentary, and viral discussion. YouTube channels churned out analysis videos within minutes, dissecting every frame, every expression, every nuance. And across all these platforms, one question was constant: has this gone too far? Initially, people were still divided. Some argued that transparency was necessary, that truth, even uncomfortable truth, should be seen and acknowledged. Others were convinced that the release of these clips represented a clear crossing of ethical boundaries, that the people involved were being exposed in ways that went beyond what was appropriate or fair. But this time, the tone had shifted. The debate was no longer light or casual. It was serious, tense, and emotionally charged. This escalation represents more than just content being released online. It's a collision of public perception, private emotion, and strategic control. On one side, you have those seeking to reveal what they see as reality, a story that needs to be told. On the other, you have those trying to protect lives, reputations, and relationships are being threatened by the uncontrolled dissemination of sensitive material. King Harris is at the center of this storm. His life, once largely private, has become the focal point of an online spectacle that few could have predicted. Every decision, every reaction, every attempt to intervene adds layers to the unfolding drama. And while the public watches, analyzes, and comments, the real human impact is happening behind the scenes, where the stakes are not virtual but painfully real. 50 Cent, meanwhile, remains a key figure in the escalation. His strategy, his timing, and his choices in how and when to release content have positioned him as both an observer and a driver of the chaos. Every clip released seems purposeful, calculated to maintain momentum and maximize attention, keeping the public engaged, reactive, and increasingly uneasy. And the anticipation of that final, unreleased clip adds a layer of suspense unlike anything that has come before. The uncertainty of what it contains, combined with the knowledge that its release could dramatically alter the narrative, keeps both fans and critics on edge. People aren't just watching for entertainment anymore. They're watching for revelation, for resolution, for the next turning point in a saga that continues to escalate with each passing moment. So here we are, in a space where online drama, family dynamics, and real-world consequences collide. The situation isn't just trending, it's evolving, intensifying, and creating a series of ripples that extend far beyond the initial clips. It's no longer merely about who said what or who was caught on camera. It's about intention, control, and the human cost of exposure in a world where private moments can become public property at the click of a button. And the truth is, we're still in the middle of it. Each new development brings more questions than answers, more tension than resolution. The audience watches, reacts, debates, and speculates, but the real drama unfolds privately, where each decision could have long-lasting consequences for those involved. In short, this isn't just a story about clips, leaks, or a documentary. It's a story about power, control, reputation, and the human impact of public scrutiny. It's about the intersection of personal vulnerability and strategic maneuvering. And it's about what happens when people we thought we knew are seen in ways we never expected, under circumstances that no one could have predicted. As of now, the narrative is still unfolding. There's anticipation of the next release, speculation about the content yet unseen, and growing concern over the consequences of what has already been exposed. In a sense, the story has no clear beginning or end. Every clip, every reaction, every leaked message adds complexity, shaping the ongoing narrative in ways that are impossible to fully predict. So as we watch, analyze, and speculate, one thing is clear. This is more than just online drama. It's a lesson in perception, control, and the power of media in shaping public understanding. And in the center of it all stands King Harris, caught between public exposure, private emotion, and forces beyond his control. Because at the end of the day, this is a story about real people, real relationships, and the consequences of turning private life into public spectacle. And as more content continues to surface, the stakes rise higher with every second. Every clip released, every post shared, and every reaction adds fuel to the fire, propelling the narrative forward in ways that are unpredictable, powerful, and potentially life-altering. And that's why this situation, right now, is as critical as it has ever been. Not because of what's already happened, but because of what could still happen. And with the potential of unreleased content looming, the tension isn't just going to remain, it's only going to grow. The content itself had started to feel different. It wasn't just clips anymore. It wasn't just entertainment. There was a sense that the exposure was turning personal. What once might have been casual viewing or even curiosity had now become a kind of uncomfortable witnessing. People were beginning to realize that what they were seeing wasn't just a story. It was someone's life being dissected, analyzed, and laid bare for public consumption. That shift changed everything. Suddenly, reactions weren't just about liking or sharing. They were about judgment, about ethics, about boundaries. On one side, defenders of 50 Cent spoke up immediately, arguing that the content, no matter how uncomfortable, was necessary. Comments flooded social media, saying things like, "Y'all only mad because it's uncomfortable. Truth ain't supposed to feel good. If it's real, it deserves to be seen." These statements gained traction. They went viral, shared across multiple platforms, and found supporters who echoed the sentiment that transparency, no matter how stark, was vital. But on the other side, the pushback was growing louder and sharper. It wasn't curiosity anymore, it was concern, even outrage. Comments were harsh. "This isn't exposing the truth, this is exploiting people. Why is a family being turned into content like this? This is getting weird and it has gone too far." And those reactions began to dominate the conversation. Discussions were no longer centered around clips or viral moments. Now, people were debating ethics, personal boundaries, and whether those boundaries had been crossed. The intensity of the situation extended beyond the audience. The music industry itself started reacting in ways that had never been seen before. Gone were the days of subtle hints or cryptic social media posts. Now, artists and industry figures were making direct statements, live and in real time. One prominent rapper went live on Instagram and said plainly, "I don't care what anybody says. That ain't right. That ain't how you handle something like that." Hours later, another artist responded, challenging the narrative. "Y'all keep saying it ain't right, but nobody is explaining why it's wrong. If it's truth, let it be truth." This split reignited a public debate, but this time, the emotions were higher, more charged. People weren't just disagreeing, they were frustrated. Frustration arose from a growing realization that this wasn't simply a story unfolding online. It was a situation affecting real lives, and no one seemed to be taking responsibility for it. People weren't just reacting, they were questioning the entire framework of what was happening and why it was being shared at all. The questions keep piling up and nobody has the answers. Will the next release finally clarify everything, providing closure and context? Or will it escalate the chaos, revealing new details that intensify public scrutiny and fan speculation. And what happens if this cycle continues? More clips, more rumors, more speculation, all while the key players remain silent. The narrative could spiral further than anyone anticipates, with consequences that stretch far beyond social media, touching relationships, careers, and reputations in very real ways. This is where the tension becomes almost unbearable. The audience isn't just watching anymore, they're invested. Every new clip is dissected. Every reaction video is analyzed. Every comment section becomes a battleground for debate, ethics, and conjecture. This story has transformed into something multi-layered, part documentary, part real-life drama, part social experiment, and part ethical debate. And at the center of it, all are real people, whose private lives are being scrutinized in public, in ways that are deeply personal and intensely revealing. Think about the implications for the next release. If the previous clips already caused chaos, dividing the industry, exposing tension, and triggering heated online debates, then what comes next could alter everything. Perceptions might shift, assumptions could be challenged, and suddenly, every viral post, every social media reaction, every online debate becomes part of a much larger puzzle, with viewers struggling to piece together the story as it continues to unfold in real time. This situation has become a perfect storm of modern media dynamics. Viral content spreads faster than ever. Public speculation amplifies every detail. Industry commentary adds layers of legitimacy or criticism. And personal stakes, reputation, legacy, family, only make the environment more combustible. Every moment of silence from King Harris, T.I., or 50 Cent adds fuel to the fire. Every leak or rumor escalates the intensity. Every online reaction, supportive, critical, or neutral, reinforces the unpredictable nature of what could happen next. At the core, this is a story about human behavior under pressure, about how personal lives intersect with public consumption, about how control, or the loss of it, can ripple across an entire industry and captivate the world. And the tension is compounded by the fact that there are no guarantees, no roadmap, no way to predict the next move. One clip could redefine the story. One comment could change the narrative. One leak could tip the scales entirely. So here's the bottom line. This story is far from over. The next wave of content could be the turning point, the release that either clarifies the narrative, escalates the conflict, or completely upends what people think they know. The stakes are higher than ever. The tension is at its peak, and the audience, divided and watching closely, is waiting, anticipating, and analyzing every development. And now the critical questions emerge. Did King Harris truly reach out, attempting to halt this rollout, or is that simply another rumor, carefully seeded to add intrigue and drama? Is 50 Cent exposing uncomfortable truths, or is he pushing the situation too far, driven by strategy, attention, or influence? Where should the line be drawn between storytelling and exploitation, between revealing reality and invading privacy? And perhaps the most important question, what are the real-world consequences of every clip, every post, and every decision made in this tangled web of influence and exposure? These aren't abstract questions. They're playing out in real time across every platform. Twitter threads, TikTok reactions, Instagram stories, YouTube breakdowns. They're all part of a constantly evolving conversation. People are debating, speculating, and analyzing, and every moment matters. Every reaction, supportive or critical, shapes the way the next piece of content will land. And every new leak adds pressure, intensifying the stakes and creating uncertainty that the audience feels viscerally. Consider what this means for King Harris, a young man born into the public eye whose life has always been visible, now watching events unfold around him that he can't fully control. Every decision, every public perception, every viral moment has a direct impact on him, his identity, and his family. And the next release, the clip, the message, the public statement, could push him further into the eye of the storm, where the stakes are more than just public attention. They're personal, emotional, and potentially life-altering. And then there's 50 Cent, whose actions underscore the calculated intensity of this situation. Every move he makes appears deliberate. Every release seems timed. Every hint, every teaser, every clip is part of a larger strategy that few outside his circle could ever fully grasp. When someone operates with that level of control, the tension isn't just between the content and the audience. It's between the individuals involved and the forces shaping their lives, their images, and their reputations. This story is more than a viral phenomenon. It's an intricate web of strategy, emotion, public perception, and human consequence. It's a reminder that in the age of social media, exposure isn't just about attention. It's about influence, control, and sometimes the loss of both. And for those at the center, the pressure is relentless. Each moment in the public eye has ramifications, and the next move, whether a clip, a statement, or even continued silence, could fundamentally redefine the narrative. And make no mistake, the stakes are enormous. The next release could clarify, escalate, or completely rewrite what everyone thinks they know. It could challenge assumptions, shift allegiances, and force fans and critics alike to reconsider their positions. And with every clip, the conversation deepens, the stakes grow, and the story becomes more complex and compelling. If you've been following this closely, you've witnessed the escalation. You've felt the tension. You've watched the stakes rise with each new development. And now, you're waiting for the next clip, the next post, the next statement, or even the next silence. Because whichever form it takes, the next move has the power to redefine everything. The truth is simple. The story is far from over. The next twist could be the most significant yet. The silence could finally break. The narrative could flip entirely. And the consequences could extend far beyond the internet, reaching into the lives, careers, and reputations of those at the center. Every detail matters. Every speculation counts. Every reaction, whether outrage, support, or skepticism, shapes what comes next. And as the world watches, the story continues to evolve, a high-stakes narrative of control, exposure, and the unpredictable ways human behavior intersects with digital media. So stay alert, stay watching, because this isn't just entertainment anymore. It's a lesson in power, in strategy, and in the unpredictability of human behavior under scrutiny. And when this story continues, one thing is certain: you won't want to miss a single moment. Every development matters, every revelation has weight, and the next release, it could change everything.